All right, today we're diving into a pretty fascinating idea. What if all the chaos in global politics right now could be explained by looking up at the stars? We're breaking down an analysis called Celestial Geopolitics and the New Realism of 2026.
So, it's the question on everyone's mind, right? Why does early 2026 feel like it's on a knife's edge? We've got these strange, quiet economic shifts happening on one hand, and then these sudden, aggressive military moves on the other. What in the world is driving all this volatility?
Well, the analysis we're digging into today offers let's just say, a pretty unique perspective. It actually argues that the answer might just be written in the stars. Let's see what that really means.
So, according to this framework, the first big clue for understanding this moment lies with the planet Venus. It's supposed to represent these incredibly powerful shifts that are happening completely behind the scenes.
You see, right now, Venus is in what's called a superior solar conjunction. Basically, it's hidden from our view, tucked away behind the sun. This analysis interprets that as a symbol for a time when the real nature of global relationships and economic values is going through this massive change. But it's all happening out of sight. The most important moves are being made in the shadows.
And this is where it supposedly connects back to Earth. Think about it. Global alliances are being quietly redrawn, not with big flashy announcements, but through subtle maneuvers. Nations are kind of ditching the old post-Cold War rulebook and adopting this much more transactional, stone-cold realism. It's all bubbling just beneath the surface.
Okay, so let's bring in the second celestial player to see how this all builds. This part is all about the major tension between idealism and just raw ambition, and it's symbolized by the planet Jupiter.
What this analysis points to is Jupiter's position, which it says is a symbol for a huge clash. You've got the grand vision of international law and global cooperation on one side, and on the other, a really powerful surge of national identity and pure self-interest. These two forces are just in a direct tug-of-war.
And this is the core tension defining geopolitics right now. It's that ideal of a stable, rules-based world order crashing head-on with the aggressive, strategic push for national advantage. And we're seeing this friction play out everywhere. The source gives examples like the U.S. making these bold claims over strategic minerals in Greenland, or how it's tightening its sphere of influence in Latin America with what the source calls a new Don Road doctrine, a pretty clear nod to the old Monroe Doctrine. Basically, traditional ideas of sovereignty are starting to crumble when powerful nations decide to prioritize their own ambitions.
Now, all this tension, all this quiet maneuvering, it has to lead somewhere, right? Well, that brings us to the most dramatic element of this whole analysis, the age of assertiveness, driven by the planet Mars. This is the decisive blow.
According to this source, the real, visceral energy of this moment comes from Mars in Capricorn. And look, this isn't about reckless, random action. This setup is supposed to represent disciplined, strategic aggression. It's a powerful drive to enforce structure and impose authority, to move from quiet chess moves to flipping the whole board over.
And the number one textbook example of this Mars in Capricorn effect in action, the U.S. military operation in Venezuela right at the start of the year. This event, the capture of Nicolas Maduro, is seen as the physical manifestation of this assertive, strategic energy.
This quote from the source just nails it. The operation wasn't just an operation, it was a message. It was a calculated signal sent loud and clear to the whole world that the old playbook of cautious containment is officially over. We're in a new era of decisive, strategic action.
And that one action had immediate economic shockwaves. Suddenly, Venezuelan oil is under U.S. influence. That means China's really deep economic partnership with Caracas gets compromised, like instantly. What happens next? Beijing is left scrambling to find other, more expensive sources of energy. It's a perfect example of how raw power plays are now directly rewriting the rules of trade.
So you put all these pieces together, the hidden shifts, the open tensions, the decisive actions. What are we really looking at? According to this analysis, we're navigating a brand new reality where the old global order is actively being taken apart.
And this new reality is defined by an all-out race for future dominance. You see it in trade deals like Sisuma. You see it in the fight for sovereign AI. That's AI that's developed and controlled by a single nation. And of course, in the scramble for critical minerals. In every arena, cautious diplomacy is out and constant dynamic tension is in.
So the most important takeaway from all of this is captured perfectly in this one line. Yeah, the big, loud, Mars-driven headlines are what grab our attention. But the analysis argues the most profound changes, those hidden, Venus-like shifts in the global financial system, are still happening quietly in the shadows.
Which, of course, leaves us with this final, massive question. As the old world gets dismantled and this new, much more competitive order rises, everything is going to come down to who can adapt. In a world of constant disruption, who will be able to navigate both the headlines and the shadows to actually win the future?